All right, welcome back. So let's get to some examples. Okay, so this one's number 2 in the textbook. Okay, and it gives you y triple prime minus 3y double prime minus y prime plus 3y equals 0. Okay, let me just check something real quick. Okay, I did not name it, but I think you can understand when I say the characteristic equation is going to be r cubed minus 3r squared minus r plus 3 equals 0. Okay, so this is the characteristic polynomial, and then setting it equal to 0 is the characteristic equation. Okay, now this one's easy to factor actually. Okay, no trouble. We can do a factor by grouping. Factor out r squared here, r minus 3. Oops, what happened there? Minus r minus 3 equals 0. Okay, so we get r squared minus 1 times r minus 3 equals 0. R plus 1, r minus 1 times r minus 3 equals 0. So then we get our y of x equals c1 e to the negative x plus c2 e to the x plus c3 e to the 3x. Okay, so that's the general form of our solution. Okay, now I thought I liked that problem so much that I wanted to do it almost again, but just with a little change. Oh, let me erase that. Ah. Okay, and let's, instead of having a minus here, let's change this to a plus and that to a minus. Okay, so it's a slightly different problem. So I'll call it 2 prime. Okay, and we're gonna do our factoring. So our characteristic equation is r cubed minus 3r squared plus r minus 3 equals 0. Now this is still easy to factor. Okay, this is still easy to factor, but now it becomes r minus 3 times r squared plus 1 equals 0. So we're going to have complex roots here. Okay, actually just purely imaginary roots. Okay, so let me write it as r minus 3, r plus I, r minus I equals 0. So our general solution is going to be c1 e to the 3x plus c2 cosine of x plus c3 sine of x. Okay, that's because when you have r equals plus or minus I, there's no exponential on it, right? It's just gives you the solution e to the 0x times e to the ix plus or minus. Okay, and this gives you the cosine and sine. Okay, all right, let's do a couple more. Let's do number 4. Y triple prime plus 2y double prime minus 19 y prime minus 20y equals 0. Okay, now I'm actually not going to hold you responsible for factoring this. Okay, if you just can find a way to factor it, maybe using some tool online, I'm okay with that. But I'm still going to show you what I would do to factor it. Okay, first, I guess first I need the characteristic equation. That you have to find. Just that needs to be part of your answers. So your characteristic equation here is going to be r cubed plus 2r squared minus 2r minus 20 equals 0. Now factoring the characteristic equation again, that's not the focus of this class. So if you were to just say, let's say, go to Wolfram alpha. Okay, and let's say you were to type roots of r cubed plus 2r squared minus 19r minus 20 and go it and say -5, -1, and 4. You know what? I'm done with that. Okay. Of course, that's not a teaching method, right? So, but I am okay with you doing that, for example, on a test or on a homework, because that's not why we're here. Okay. But I should do it right. So I would list my possible rational roots. Plus or minus 1. In this case, it's the factors of 20. In general, it's the factors of this number divided by the factors of whatever coefficient is here, which in this case is just 1. Okay? So plus or minus 1, plus or minus 4, plus or minus 5, plus or minus 10, plus or minus 20. And then I would do synthetic division. I know -1 is going to work. Okay, so I would put 1, 2, -2, -20. Okay, so the 1 comes down. Multiply 1 by -1 is -1. 2 and -1 is 1. -1 and -1 is something went wrong. The reason something went wrong is because that should be 19. Much better. -1 and 1 is -1. -19 and -1 is -20. -1 times -20 is 20 with 0. Okay, so what does this tell me? I have r plus 1 times r squared plus r minus 20 equals 0. Okay, so like I said, I'm not super concerned if you know how to do this. However, if you are tutoring in the lab, or you plan to be a mathematician, or you plan to go for a PhD, then it's not a bad idea to learn how to do this. Okay, just because you're not going to go to Wolfram Alpha every 5 seconds when you're practicing. Or maybe you are. Maybe that's the secret, I don't know. Okay, so now This I can factor easily. R plus 1, R plus 5, R minus 4 equals 0. So you get y of x equals c1 e to the negative x plus c2 e to the negative 5x plus c3 e to the 4x. Okay? All right, we'll come back with some more examples.